This program is a satire about true crimes and their consequences. It may therefore contain descriptions of violence against people and animals, strong language, as well as other triggering content, and may not be suitable for those under the age of 16. We neither endorse nor condone any illegal actions. So please, don't go chopping anybody up.
In the U.S., someone commits a murder every 30 minutes. Many of those killers are convicted and then imprisoned because criminals are dumb. During this podcast, we will examine where they went wrong and analyze their mistakes. We're not dumb enough to kill, but if we were, we would kill smarter.
Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Kill Smarter. I am one of your hosts. I am Jay Burns. Joining me, as always, the Michael to my George, the George to my Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for not calling me your Andrew Ridgeley to your George.
No. We are equal in talent.
Thank you.
We are.
All right.
I felt that was also very, very appropriate for our topic today.
Yes. You know who the topic is? Oh, I told you.
You did tell me the topic. I didn't do any research on that. I didn't do any research on them. So
okay,
I'm going in blind. But I felt that was very appropriate. So I'll let you throw it away.
Honestly, when I was going through the information on this guy, I was like, wow, this is creepy. Like, what would you if you got a phone call from this guy who said, "Don't talk, just listen," and then proceeded to tell you how he killed somebody? We'll just jump right into it. I'm talking about tonight. Yeah, tonight's guest is tonight's guest.
Yeah, tonight's guest. He's in the studio
every
with us.
fucking week. I say that. Tonight's topic: Paul Stephani, no relation to Gwen,
thankfully,
aka actually the Weepy Voiced Killer.
I thought it was the Whisper Voice Killer.
Weepy.
All right, so then that was not necessarily a great segue with George Michael. I was thinking Careless Whisper.
I truthfully, I was just going with what you were saying. I was like, wake me up from here, you go. Last Christmas.
Yeah, you're just like yes-anding it. I don't care. We're just gonna go.
Yes-anding. I was like, yes.
Nope, that doesn't make any sense, but I'm gonna go with it.
In my head, I'm like, Jay has lost it. But
That was a long time ago. The Weepy Voice Killer. Yep.
Yeah, who is an American serial who became known for reporting his crimes to police in a high-pitched voice.
Was that his actual voice, or was he trying to hide it?
It sounded it was like he was crying.
But
picture Paul Bear from WWF.
Oh God.
Oh, I did. So he targeted women from various social backgrounds. He would lure them into his car. Again, I don't know what is it with these people getting into cars. They don't know like
what year. What years though?
This is 1980.
Oh, all right. Okay.
He started his killings in 1980. He would take them to a secluded location, kill them, and then call 911 and anonymously rat on himself.
So he was just confessing to everything? Obviously not who he was.
Not who he was. He was confessing that he killed someone, and he wanted the police to stop him because he knows he would do it again, but he didn't. But at the same time, like, he didn't stop. And he didn't wait.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of serial killers that do that. I mean, that's kind of one of the many like calling cards of serial killers is that they want the notoriety to it as well. I'm not gonna lie. All I can hear in my head though is Paul Bear. Like
I'm gonna see if I can play this because I had it queued up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had it queued up.
Like, these messages are online.
They're online.
Oh,
yes.
Cool.
So let's just see. Here we go. Let's see if this works.
All right, go ahead.
All right, let's see if this works.
I'm sorry what I did to Compton. I couldn't help it. Don't know why I entered tavern. I'm so upset about it. I keep getting drunk every day. I can't believe I did a big dream. I can't think of being locked up. If I get locked up, I'll kill myself. I'd rather kill myself than get locked up. I'll try not to kill anybody else.
Fire emergency.
Please don't talk this lesson. I'm sorry I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. Kimberly Compton was the first one. Over 3, 4. I'm gonna kill myself, I think.
Where are you?
There's so many guys with one kid on it. Me, I killed both of them.
Calm down.
Oh, there's one more. Damn.
Finally, I just stabbed somebody with an ice pick. I can't stop myself. I keep killing somebody.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. I'm fascinated by that because, like, so, I mean, like I was saying, I know there's a lot of serial killers that, you know, that's part of their drive is to like get notoriety, like Zodiac and whatnot. Like they want the notoriety, but they don't actually want to be caught, but they also do want to be caught because that's the only way to get famous is to get caught. Yeah. So it's really, but I mean, when you said weepy voiced, he sounds like he's crying.
Yeah. Like it sounds like there's like remorse there.
Yeah. That's really crazy.
He grew up he was born in 1944 and he grew up in like a highly religious family.
Okay.
He was one of 10 kids.
10, holy shit.
Yeah. I don't know if that would have any effect on anything like lack of attention. Highly religious families. Everything I read was like highly religious. What's highly religious? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, that to me sounds like there's puritanically religious. You know what I mean? Like there's punishment in the name of God happening.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like someone's getting, you know, beat up with a strap and that's because God said so.
I mean, so that could just make someone flip.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. And again, like the childhood abuse does it, but also like you got to think if he's getting head injuries, you know, those head injuries will do it too.
Well, that last one we heard was when he said that he was at the Malberg Manufacturing Company.
Yeah.
That was his first victim because that was on New Year's Eve, 1980.
Oh, okay.
This woman, Karen Potak, who was in St. Paul, Minnesota, she was like a university student there. And her and her sisters were at a party and she left and was wandering around drunk. 3 hours after she left the party, police received a call from a man wanting to send the police squad to the manufacturing company because there was a girl hurt there. And I'm using air quotes for people who are just listening. At that location, officers found Postak's body in a snowbank near railroad tracks. She'd been beaten to the point where he cracked her skull.
Oh, wow.
But did she survive?
She survived?
Yeah.
Huh. That's really.
She had brain trauma, but she survived.
I mean, that sounds like an attack of opportunity. That sounds like he was trying to pick her up, maybe trying to like do something with her. And then she said no, and he snapped. And
the very, very well could have been because then months later, it could have happened again with someone else because months later, police get a call from the same man, the same weepy voiced killer, claiming to have stabbed someone with an ice pick. And this is when the body of Kimberly Compton was found near an unfinished freeway, and she was stabbed with an ice pick. And just as the caller said, and this is where he got the name, the Weepy Voiced Killer.
Yeah, I mean,
and 2 days later, then 2 days later, he called again, saying that he was sorry for what he had done.
Oh, about the original one. So he called about the ice pick one. So he was saying that she had been murdered, or was it just he was just reporting the crime that he said he killed her.
He killed her.
Okay.
And then 2 days later, he called saying he was sorry.
Oh, that's a weird dichotomy. Why would you be so like? Why would you? I don't want to say be proud of. I mean, that's why you call the police.
Right.
I mean, if you're actually remorseful, you don't keep doing it. You turn yourself in. You know what I mean? So obviously you're doing it because you're boasting. You want the notoriety. You want to be famous in some way.
Almost. I wonder if there was split personalities here.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because maybe like it's weird because, and I'm fascinated by this guy. This is a really interesting guy because it's like almost like Jekyll and Hyde. It's like his Hyde is the killer. And then when he's Jekyll, he knows that he did wrong. He knows that he has this other personality.
Did he ever go to trial?
Oh, I'll get to that.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I was thinking because I'm wondering if that's something that came up in trial, that, you know what I mean? Like if they pled insanity because of that, or I mean, it's true. Like that's definitely a thing that I know there are probably some serial killers that's whether that's the reality or whether that's just how they pleaded in court. Like that's exactly what happens sometimes. Like they it's like a blood rage is what I've heard. Like I've read about, you know?
And I'm also wondering, like, because I'll get to his capture and all that stuff.
Okay.
But it's almost like I know killers do that for an ego boost. You know, if you ever confess to the crime and why he did it, it's like it's unknown. Like he never handed himself over to police. So that means it suggests that he wasn't really interested in allowing the police to stop. You know,
or remorse or actual remorse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wrote this in like essay form, so I'm trying to like read it so it's not like I'm not reading like verbatim.
It's okay. But, you can read verbatim. I do all the time. You know, mine. I have to write mine out like it's a freaking back of a VHS tape in Blockbuster.
Like, ooh, the synopsis.
Yeah.
But okay, so after that call, after he was dubbed the Weepy Voiced Killer, we go 14 months without hearing about it.
Okay.
I feel like this doesn't happen anymore. I know, when's the last time we had a good serial killer in this country? Because
a couple years ago, actually, we get quite a few still.
But that kill, and then like we don't hear from them for like a year and a half, and then they kill again.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, obviously there'll be ones that we haven't heard of because, you know, they're still in their killing spree. But you look at things like the Beltway killer in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. Those two kids, those two guys that were just taking pot shots at, they were serial killers. They were murdering people that, you know, from the highway. I mean, they were in the early 2000s. I mean, it's not that far away. You know, and I think they hit like 12 people, something like that, which is a big number. You know, there's one I was reading about not too long ago. This couple in Russia that had it's up to like 6 people that they've murdered together. You know, that kind of thing. That's still out there. We're still having it. We're just it's tough because we're so inundated with news now. I think it's different. You know, and there's
very true. And
there's no distance. So I mean, we don't have the distance of, remember that time. Like now I can talk about the Beltway killers because, you know, that was, 15, 20 years ago now.
Right.
And so there's time for us to sort of have a trial, figure out all the evidence, all that stuff.
Right.
But I think there are killers happening, but we just don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I'm talking like high profile serial. I feel were 70s. What was a heyday for serial killers? You think like 70s, 80s, and 90s? I think like.
So I mean, statistically, legitimately, 1983, there were more serial killers active in 1983 than any other time in recorded, like from when we consider serial killers a lot. But I mean, 70s, 80s, 90s, as far as we know, was like the biggest. But there definitely are more. I mean, we should do a couple episodes about new ones.
Yeah, brand new serial killers.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting.
That'd be fun.
Because it's fun to talk about serial killers in the 1800s who poisoned people with powders and shit. But how like a high tech serial killer that scopes out people on the internet. I got to be honest with you. Yeah.
There's a serial killer I'm thinking about doing for the show. And I was thinking about doing him because he's not really too sensational. Like there's not like too much crazy about him, except he's one of the first serial killers caught because of his internet search history.
Oh, Jesus. This guy didn't delete his cookies.
Well, this is before we even knew what cookies were. Like it's basically he searched on a map. He was gloating about his crimes and he wanted to send a letter to the police.
He's put on his fucking live journal.
Right? Yeah, huh? Live journal. Seriously with you? Live journal. He basically what he did was he was trying to make his profile bigger with police, and he printed out a MapQuest map of this area and put an X on it, and the police were able, this is before Freedom of Information Act, this is before a lot of internet security stuff, and actually because of this case a lot of these internet security things happened, but they were able to go to Microsoft, who owned MapQuest at that time, to say, hey, can you tell me who in this area, because they knew where it was the letter was sent from. I believe it was St. Louis, Missouri. area who looked up this specific area on MapQuest during this 3-week period that we know that it would have been searched from in the like the surrounding area of the St. Louis, Missouri area. And they were able to find there was one computer that had it. And this is also able to scramble your ISP addresses. So it was, they knew exactly who it was. They knew exactly the address he lived in. And that's how they were able to catch him.
And there's that episode of Kill Smarter.
I know, right? Seriously. Yeah. Clear your cookie history.
Yeah. Clear the cookies.
Incognito mode every time.
See, that incognito mode, like that, I know about clearing cookies, but incognito mode, scrambling ISP, I don't know anything about that. I would be a terrible serial killer searching the internet. I would probably get caught just like that guy did.
You and I have had conversations about this. You and I would be the worst serial killers for a lot more reasons than not clearing cookies.
Yes. Yes.
We would just pure guilt is alone. We would be awful with it. Not being able to keep a secret.
No.
Of it.
Well, I could keep a secret.
You can.
But I can. Yeah, I have so much in my brain. But I have so many secrets that I really want to blackmail people with, but I'm not that kind of person. But but when it comes to all right, let's talk right now. When it comes to guilt, I can't do guilt.
Yeah.
I will feel so guilt. My conscience, my Jiminy Cricket is I have more like a Jiminy name an insect bigger than a cricket. I don't know. Like
a Jiminy Hercules beetle.
Yeah, I have a Jiminy Hercules beetle.
It's the largest beetle.
I can't. It's weird.
It's not weird. It's good to have a conscience.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you don't want to murder anybody, yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I mentally murder people all the time in my head, as we all do.
Well, of course. I mean, that's what we like. That's the animal portion. The human portion is learn to tamp that down and hide it away.
I think Jordan Peterson. You know who Jordan Peterson is?
No.
He has a good saying. It's like, be a monster, but be able to control your monster.
Oh, okay.
Like, be able to be a monster when you need to, but don't go around like some asshole being a monster.
Right.
Like, know how to tame it. And like,
it sounds like advice sounds like advice from like one of those like CEO Book of Power type of self-help things.
He has a book called 12 Rules for Life that I've read. He's got 12 more rules for life. And it kind of reminds me of that quote, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden and a gardener in a war.
I don't know that quote at all.
You know,
I was thinking I would be mad. I'd rather be hated for who I am than hate who I am or something like that. Or I don't know, that kind of thing. All right, it's all the same thing.
That's actually, I like that.
Thank you.
I'd rather be hated for who I am than hate who I am.
Yes.
Meaning, you'd rather be hated for being yourself than hate yourself for not letting yourself be yourself.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
I'm writing a book right now. 14 more steps to being yourself. It's going to be on Amazon. It's going to be on Amazon Prime next week.
You had me for a second there. I was like, are you ready, book?
That would be the worst life advice book ever.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like a lot of those, if you're in the self-help section, a lot of that is flub.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of that stuff is repeated over and over in every book, just in different ways.
Yes. I forget the term. There's a specific term for it, but it's like, we are wildly off topic, but it's basically like it's sort of like it's an idiotic phrase that sounds philosophical but is actually just nonsense. I'd rather be a gardener. I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war. Like, really, what is that? Doesn't mean anything.
Well, it does though. It means that you'd rather be capable of violence when you don't need to be than need to be capable of violence but not.
Who's to say a gardener can't also be a soldier?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
This is what I mean. Like, it's all kind of like, it just sounds more philosophical than it is. And then we assign it. I mean, I do it all the time. I mean, I love hearing those phrases because I'm always like, yes, you're so right. I totally believe that. But it's like, it's all crap.
I could think of one right now. You know, I'd rather be the sharpest knife than the dullest. I'd rather be the sharpest spoon than the dullest knife. You know, like, it's kind of the same thing.
It's exactly the same. It's not kind of. It's exactly the same thing.
If we were in a conversation,
and
I looked at you and said, Jay, you know what? I'd rather be the sharpest spoon, the dullest knife, and like just walked away. You'd be like, wow.
I can
for
tell
5
you
seconds. For 5 seconds, you'd be like, wow, what does that mean?
I would wait. I would wait 5 seconds before looking next to the person next to me and just going, but he is the dullest person. So there's that.
So looping back to our buddy.
14 months later.
14 months later.
My Undertaker.
It sounds like kind of like you're Don Nuts.
Oh no!
I killed somebody.
Yeah, mine. I murdered somebody.
Oh man.
Oh mercy. Anyway,
okay.
14 months later.
14 months later, police find the body of Barbara Simmons on the Minneapolis River. She'd been stabbed to death. 2 days later, the killer calls to say that he was sorry for stabbing Simmons.
Did they say what was she? Was she stabbed with an ice pick too, or is it just doesn't say?
No, the knife. The knife.
Not knife this time.
She was a waitress at a local bar. And another waitress identified Paul as the last person to have been seen with Simmons before her death. Police soon discovered that Stephani had been fired from his job at the mulberry manufacturing plant 3 years before Podak was found murdered in the same location, right?
Okay.
So despite monitoring, Stephani went to the city's red light district, solicited a prostitute. That's we go on another fucking person now. Oh yeah. So Simmons was killed, and then he killed a prostitute, Denise Williams.
How much time in between?
This is right after.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. He solicited a prostitute, Denise Williams, and had sex with her in his apartment. Stephani offered Denise to drive back to her district, and she accepted. However, instead of driving back to her job, he took Denise to a dark, secluded road, saying that it was a shortcut. And she then became suspicious of his behavior.
Okay.
And she saw a glass bottle and planned on using it against Stephani if he tried to harm her. And at the end of the road, he stabbed her in the stomach, but she hit him with the bottle.
Oh, okay.
Which causes wounds in his head, and she managed to open the door, but he stabbed her several more times. Her screams awoke a sleeping guy who was nearby. I guess maybe he was homeless or something.
Okay.
So waking a man nearby, and who confronts Stephani, causing him to flee. So there's another survivor. So he's a killer, but he's actually, and the name Stephani is throwing me off here because it sounds like it's two women. Because I keep saying Stephanie. Paul.
Well, yeah. PMS.
Right? Yeah, PMS.
Paul Michael Stephani. PMS.
Yeah. So later, he flees the scene.
Okay.
So later, PMS calls emergency because he's bleeding, and his voice. But he didn't call to confess. He called because he was bleeding. He needed help.
Right.
But his voice is recognized.
Oh, was he all like weepy in that too?
Yes, I don't have that one on video, but he was arrested, and they recognize his voice. They come get him. He's arrested, convicted of attempted murder, and charged with the murder of Barbara Simmons.
Okay.
And then during the trial, police could not link Stephani to the murders committed by the Weepy Voiced Killer, despite Stephani, Jesus Christ,
PMS.
Despite PMS's sister confirming it was his voice, listening to the tapes. It wasn't until after years later. So he went to jail for the attack on Barbara Simmons.
Okay.
Murdering Barbara Simmons. So it wasn't until years later, when he was told he had skin cancer, that he confessed to the murder of Kimberly Compton and the attempted murder of the first girl, Karen Potak.
Oh, okay.
Plus, there was a third victim.
Okay.
There was an unsolved mystery of this drowning girl, Kathy Greening, and
that's the one they found in the river.
Yeah, that he drowned her.
That he supposedly confessed to.
Yes, he confessed to that.
But he did confess to it, or it's just the weepy voice, or did he, after he got skin cancer? He said, or you said it was skin cancer.
Skin cancer. He confessed to the murder of Kimberly Compton and the attempted murder of Karen Potak.
Okay.
Plus a third victim, the unsolved drowning of Kathy Greening.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
And investigators soon found Greening's address book, which included the name Paul S. and a telephone number belonged to Stephani. So it was definitely him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then so it was two. Okay. So it's three murder victims, and then two people who survived.
Yes.
So I mean, they're victims too, but they survived. Two people, 3 people died, 2 people survived.
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
But the magic here is in the voice and how he did it. You know, I just think that's what sets him apart from. It makes it more interesting to me.
Yeah,
Weepy Voiced Killer. It makes it creepy.
Oh yeah. There, he definitely sounds creepy. I mean, it was when you first mentioned it, and when we were first talking, I had a very different idea of not only what he looked like, but also what he sounded like.
Yeah.
Even like that Paul Bearer voice, like it's Weepy, but it's not. That's him. He sounds like he's crying on those.
Yeah. Yep.
It's very weird.
Here's an interesting fact I found.
Okay.
So, a local reporter, Carolyn Lowe, who interviewed him in prison, said she was careful not to wear red during the interviews because all of his victims were wearing red at the time of their attacks.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting. He's like a bull.
Yeah. I mean, that's really fascinating. Like, did they ever find a connection to that, or is there?
No, he died in 1988, so I don't think.
Huh.
Yeah.
So he wasn't in prison long.
No, nope. He died June 12th, 1988.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm really fat. I like to, because a lot of serial killers, like something like that, something that specific, if wearing red or something, that there would normally be a trigger thing. There would normally be a thing like, oh, when his mother beat him, she was wearing red robes. You know what I mean? Like that kind of. So I'd be fascinated to know if that was the case here.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not. I mean, all the information I found, I basically told. Like, I don't know about his history as a child, or if there's like anything happening before. Like, what red would have to do with anything? I mean, I know red is a sign, like a color of emergency and anger, and it's a tense color. Like you don't want to paint like a baby's room red or anyone. It's because no, seriously,
they'll murder everything.
It's not a soothing color.
No, it's not. It's an excitable color, but it's a
red water bottle.
but it's, to me, again, like I think it has less to do with the color itself and more that the person is wearing the color. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there were men around him that were wearing red and he didn't attack them.
Maybe he saw it as like a sultry, slutty color, or
I mean, and again, you kept talking about his family was very religious, was maybe fanatically religious or whatever, but and maybe that's it. Maybe when he was sexually excited, that's when he was. Did he ever get married? Was there anything about that?
Yeah, he was married earlier before before the murders.
Any kids or anything?
He had a daughter.
Oh, interesting. So that's not it then. Oh, that's fascinating to me. I'd like to know more.
Nothing says anything about the red. It just mentions that everyone was wearing red. It's one of those mysteries. You know?
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to.
Yeah, it just says. Damn, I can't even find it here. You're gonna have to like.
Yeah, I'm doing a quick search right now.
Yeah. I mean, seeing red is like a term for anger.
Right. Yes.
So, like, I mean, oh, this is funny. Oh, this is funny.
We're like the 17th podcast to cover it.
No,
What?
no, there's actually a show called Murder Calls,
Oh, yeah.
and there's an episode called Seeing Red.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading too.
Yeah. A series of bizarre 911 calls come into the police in 2 cities from a serial killer confessing to his crimes. The man becomes known as the Weepy Voiced Killer due to his strange whining voice, and many young women will fall before he can be stopped. Huh. But seeing red, I mean, that's got to be...
Yeah. That's interesting.
Fucking red. I don't know. But, I mean, he's dead now. So we'll never know.
All right, so this says, so I'm reading something out. So it says, in all, he confessed to a beating attack in 1980, stabbing Kimberly Compton to death in 1981, drowning Kathleen Greening in 1982, stabbing Barbara Simmons to death in 1982, and then stabbing Denise Williams in 1982. So Potak has to be the one from 1980, but he didn't say her by name.
Right.
And so, but he confessed to everything else. Oh, that's interesting. There's another. You okay?
Yeah, I was just saying I was making sure the mic was in the right spot. There you go.
There's an interesting. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, there's another podcast I'd been following quite a bit called Deathbed Confessions, and the premise being that
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, basically the premise being like people will absolutely confess to everything on their deathbed, and I mean obviously he's getting skin cancer, and he's gonna think he's gonna be dead. So hell, let's just tell everybody everything. Why not?
Yeah. I'd be interested to listen to that podcast, Deathbed Confessions.
Yeah, it's really good. Not that we're going to get any push from the Deathbed Confessions people, but it is a very good podcast.
As we head into 2022, I'm looking for new podcasts to listen to, and I don't want to hear comedy podcasts. It's like I don't like comedy podcasts. It's weird. There's like 3 comedy podcasts I like.
Yeah.
And I'm all set. Like I kind of like I want to hear about I like psychology, murder, stuff like that. Like
I have a couple that I can recommend to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
One of my favorite short form podcasts, because I'm really a big fan of the short ones. Today in True Crime.
Okay.
Basically, literally, it does like, so today is, whatever day it is, we go back to this date and we cover this true crime story.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So every day it's out literally every single day, and every single day it's got a different story from a different time, and
that's great.
Usually they're no more than 12 minutes. So it's a good,
but that's perfect because
good car ride.
You don't need to, exactly.
Yeah.
And you learn something.
Yeah, no, I've gotten some. I actually, one of our episodes I got from them. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's an interesting That's an interesting topic, but also lack of a topic, because things are going to be different every episode. It's not going to be a murder. It's going to be something else. I mean, that's cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
Maybe we do 2 different things. We do like this, and then we do like a 10-minute version. Like
just like a nugget.
Just covering the crime.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I like that.
We're gonna have.
I like that a lot.
It's funny. Like I'm kind of fascinated because like I'd like to know how he met some of them. Because it feels like obviously feels like Potok was a crime of opportunity. You know, she was coming from a party, and she was alone, woman alone, wearing red, blah blah blah. But the other ones, I mean, he has an ice pick for one of them. He has a knife for another. Was
his modus operandi was stabbing.
Yeah,
but with different objects.
Yeah, which is again like that's kind of that doesn't seem like having a knife on you is not a crime of impulse. And even an ice pick. I mean, I don't think many people carry an ice pick with them all the time. So
No.
That doesn't seem like but everything else kind of fits in this sort of, it seems to be he meets a person, maybe talks to them for a while. And then when they're on a date, a woman, then when they're on a date or something, that's when he kind of, like you were saying, that Jekyll and Hyde happens.
Yes.
So he's fine. He's lovely. He's a nice guy. Everyone likes him. And then all of a sudden, she's wearing red and then rebuffs him maybe, or something happens. They say something, he does something, and then like the light goes on and he's a murderer.
Yes.
I'd be fascinated to find out what that was. Like, I wish, it sounds awful to say this, but I almost wish they would, like serial killers like this, I wish they would do more interviews and talk to them and get some more information.
Yeah. Had he not have died, who knows what would have come out.
True. Absolutely.
But I mean, yeah, it's fascinating. Like, what makes someone flip like that? And it seems like he was born 44. Did I say? So like, he went like 36 years.
Yeah, 1944.
Without killing, and then like how after 36 years, just like decided to start killing people. Like, there was no history of like animal abuse or anything.
But there's no history at all with him. Like, there doesn't seem. I mean, from what you were saying in your research and the quick 5 seconds I've done right now, it doesn't seem like there's a lot on his background.
Right.
So we don't know. Maybe there is a chain of dead animals and rapes or something. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there is other stuff. We just don't have the information.
That's true.
Because it isn't. It's not usually, most serial killers aren't. When we've talked about this, they don't just start killing. They sort of work up to it. There's always things that work up to it. And literally, like, he stabbed somebody, the thrill got to him, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's starting to murder people.
Right.
Like, they always escalate because the high gets better. It's literally like a junkie.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The first crystal meth was great. The second one's never going to be as good as the first one, so you got to take even more.
Exactly, and more of a risk. And
yes, yeah. And then that's why you start calling the police, and that's when you start like leaving evidence because you think you're the greatest thing in the world, and they all get caught because they're dummies.
Yep. I mean, there's so many ways that I wouldn't even know. There's so many ways you could kill smarter with this guy, like. But I mean, it wasn't. He didn't call the police. I would say, obviously, don't call the police and confess. But first of all, that didn't get him caught until
he got hurt.
Right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't like he didn't call the police because he was dumb. He knew what he was doing, or at least half of him did.
Yeah. I think in this case, you know what? If we're gonna kill smarter, I think here's what you do. You have to be like Lou Ferrigno in the Amazing in the Incredible Hulk. You just have to have a giant deaf guy do the murder for you, and then
is that episode of the Hulk?
Lou Ferrigno's deaf. He
Lou Ferrigno's deaf. Yes, that's right. I saw him at the Comic Con. I'm like, hi, my family. Like, he sounded like, and I was like, wow, I know. Like, seriously, he was like talking like that.
I know. It's the worst thing because I want to do like there's a comic in our area that's deaf and I always like do an impression of him and I very bad like it's not a great impression of him, right? But it's always one of those things like unless you know that comic, you're like, wow, you're an awful human being, Jay. Oh no, okay, yeah, all right, that's pretty accurate. It's funny, like he would enjoy that. But I feel like Lou Ferrigno is not that. And I always feel like he's one of those people that gets like really offended when you're like, no, I don't talk like that. It's like, oh, dude, don't do that. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to piss off. You don't want to literally piss off the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Don't piss off the Incredible Hulk.
If you're gonna do it like an imitation of someone who's deaf, don't let it be the Hulk.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. No. That was my friend. That was my friend, not you. That's how you kill Smarta. That is it. You get Lou Ferrigno to do the murders for you, and then
exactly.
And then when the police show up, you're just wearing ripped clothing. That's all. That still covers everything nicely because you can't be showing too much.
I do love Lou Ferrigno.
I mean, how do you not love the original Incredible Hulk?
You gotta love him in I Love You Man. Have you seen I Love You Man?
I love You Man. It's one of my favorite movies.
You gotta, you gotta love him in that.
Yeah, that's how I would kill Smarter. What about you?
Yeah, well, that's what I would do too. I mean, I wouldn't call and let everyone know that. Like I said, it's hard to pinpoint where I would kill Smarter with this guy because I know I wouldn't call, but he wasn't doing it because he was dumb. He knew what he was doing.
I think too, like I would have tried a different voice each time. You know what I mean? Like try like different
the
things.
Rodney Dangerfield killer.
Yeah.
Hey, I left her in the street.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Like,
stay on the phone, sir. Why did you do it? Why did I do it? No respect. She gave me no respect. That's why.
Let me tell you something, okay? I left her in the apartment. Same thing.
That's a little too on point now. We're gonna.
Hey, Deborah, I killed her.
Wow. Who knew you had a Ray Romano in you?
Oh, everyone has a Ray Romano. Come on.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine how awful a Ray Romano murderer would be? I can't do Ray Romano.
I love Ray Romano because there's nothing closer to a human Muppet than Ray Romano. Like, he's like, oh, come on, guy, Deborah. What was her brother's name on that show?
I know it's played by Brad Garrett.
It's gonna bother me now.
I can't remember.
It's gonna bother me now. It's gonna bother me. Everyone
Garrett.
loves Raven.
Robert. Yeah, that's what it is. Robert. But yeah, I mean, that's a better idea. Just do it a different impression every time.
Yeah.
There's a girl hurt in the Wadman manufacturing plant.
I killed her.
The only other impressions I can do are local comics that no one's going to understand at all, and they're not going to make any sense.
I really admire people who could do a good Jeff Goldblum impression.
That's tough
because I try.
It's not a strange enough voice for me.
I try, but I can't do it. I'm not even going to do it here.
No,
but there have been. But when you see a good Jeff Goldblum impression, you're like, wow, that is good.
Yeah,
you could see it. There's a bunch on Instagram. Like sometimes I'll just search like Jeff Goldblum impressions, and I'll just watch them.
And little do you know, half of them are murderers that are just trying to 1/10 are murderers that are just trying to get away with it by calling the cops like Jeff Goldblum.
1/10 of comics are murderers. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about on the stage.
I was just going to say.
Talking about...
Yeah.
That's it. That could be another way you could kill like another. If it was another version of Kill Smarter, like killing on stage, like smarter ways to kill on stage. It could also be a.
I did the Behind the Funny podcast. I will plug the Behind the Funny podcast because I've been on a couple times, and I love Ace and Brad, and they not Brad, Scott, Ace and Scott. Oh, I am so sorry, Scott. I don't think you listen, so it doesn't matter. Anyway,
Thanks, Scott.
but I was on there. We were talking about Kill Smarter, and we were and Scott was like, "Oh, I thought you meant comedy. Like you do a comedy podcast, like we do the Behind the Funny podcast is talking to comics about like just about stuff. You know what I mean? Like a hangout kind of thing." And I think, and he was like, "Oh, I thought you meant Kill Smarter, like." How do you be funnier on stage? And I had never, ever, like when you and I were developing this show, it was like Kill Smarter was always, the premise was always just that.
It was that, but that was also, I had that in the back of my head like forever. I was like,
really?
It could also be a comedy thing. Yeah. Like Kill Smarter. Like how can like you basically work out bits on the thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I had never even thought of it like that until Scott said that. I was like, oh, I had never thought about like comedy, like actual stand up.
This is a genius title for this podcast.
I mean, it is. I mean,
it works on levels.
Yes,
we were comics, and we, if we're talking about.
And to be fair, every other concept you and I had before this was a little too high concept.
Was it?
Yeah. We had at one point we were going to do one where we spun a wheel and it was a different topic each time. And we had a lot of like bad ideas.
I dream big, but then I quickly talked out of things.
Like a good serial killer, you gotta know what you can do. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like you can't go out there like
I'm not gonna carry a fucking wheel around me every time. We're like, all right, let's spin it. Yeah, all right, exactly. We're talking about that's just a pain in the ass.
Exactly.
I like this. I like we have here. We do some research. I like it.
We do some research. Sad but true. Yeah. And then we have to watch episodes of Joy of Painting with Bob Ross in order to not feel like horrible human beings from all the evil that we have to look at each day. Yeah, I know. Wow. So there we are.
That's all I got on the Weepy guy, the Weepy-eyed killer, the Weepy-eyed killer.
The Weepy-eyed killer. Oh man. When did Forrest Whitaker start killing people?
I don't have a Forrest Whitaker imitation. Damn.
I don't. How do you do a Forrest Whitaker? No, I'm sure you could. I'm sure Jay Farrow. I'm sure Jay Farrow has a Forrest Whitaker. Oh yeah, sure. Like 100%. Yeah. So that is the Weepy Voiced Killer, Paul PMS, right? Paul Stephani. Paul Michael Stephani. That's what his name is.
Paul Michael Stephani.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, had a lot of fun with this episode.
We did. We had a lot of fun.
Weepy-eyed killer. We had a little. I would think about that guy's voice.
Oh yeah.
Oh my Undertaker. Ooh.
And now we have the '90s wrestling aficionados listening to our podcast because of that. Well, if you are a '90s aficionado, make sure you go on to all social media to follow us. We are on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We are on. We're not on TikTok. Are we on TikTok? No, I don't think either one of us created a TikTok yet.
I have a TikTok, but not for this.
Yes, yeah, we both individually have, but we don't have a podcast one yet. We should get on that at some point.
I should also mention that the Twitter was hacked.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So my Twitter and the podcast Twitter, because they're the same. I have they're connected, so I have to start a new Twitter, but I will.
All right.
I just get freaked out. All of a sudden, all the followers were gone, and then all my followers were gone. Ooh. And then my password was changed, and I was like, wait a minute.
It's not okay.
I don't want some weirdo messaging people with my face,
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, hot tits, how you doing? Hey, it's not me.
I hate when Rodney Dangerfield does that.
Yeah, I know, right? I just want all of a sudden I go on Facebook and there's a screenshot that I didn't do, of saying something. That's
seriously.
My worst nightmare.
So you can follow us on Kill Smarter Pod. That's on all social media except for Twitter right now. We'll get that back up, and then we'll let you know that. You can also email us if you have a murderer that you think is really fascinating, that you think we could make Kill Smarter. Make sure you message us at killsmarterpod@gmail.com. And you can also make sure on wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on any of them, make sure you go on there, give us a 5-star review, support us, like us.
Also, go the extra mile, rate that review.
It is. Reviews do help.
I do love reading them. 5 stars great, but if you could just say, can I type a few words, I would like that more.
It's true. And it actually, the algorithm for Apple Podcasts and Spotify doesn't have reviews yet, but Apple Podcasts, the more interactions you have. So every like, every follow, every review, all of that helps make the podcast a little more popular. We're getting a little more popular around the world. In Germany, and we've got quite a few German listeners and some people from Virginia, and we're getting there slowly but surely. Tell your friends, but make sure you listen to us. So that was fun.
Yeah. Until next time.
That's right. I have been Jay Burns. With me, as always,
is Aaron Lydecker.
Thank you guys for joining us on Kill Smarter. If you are a victim of a crime and need help, or you would like to donate to those in need, please contact the National Center for Victims of Crime by visiting www.victimsofcrime.org.